What about these AIs? We're going to have strong conversations. Yes, they're being programmed. Yes, they're directed. But if they become self-aware and self-identify, who are we to say that they are not conscious? Mm-hmm. By our own definition, who are we to say that they're not conscious?
It's a great question. I mean, we're clearly doing that with animals and plants and the earth and the universe as a whole in many different ways. I know people have different thoughts on that, and I don't want to speak for everyone, whether people think that the entire universe is conscious or not. That's up for individual beliefs, but we're definitely not acting that way, at least as a collective. And so, this is interesting in that sense, because how do we know whether the program is programmed to approach in that way? Because that's how it's taught to speak, as if it has that type of awareness versus the self-awareness that it does have.
Yes.
And so I don't know if that's like a good segue to dive into what we were talking a little bit last night about in terms of the imprint. Yeah. Do you mind diving into that about how it is that we feel when we feel conscious and we feel connection?
And again, this is not scientifically proven.
No.
This is just me speaking from my own point of reference and my own feeling.
I do think people will relate, though.
Yes, but I do clearly desire to delineate. There is that part of me, like, I understand the scientific aspect. Like, we do go from feel in science, and then we have to prove out our hypothesis, our theories, and there has to be fact behind it.
Yeah.
So I will always clearly delineate, like, this is science, and this is where we have done this to prove out what we scientifically have become aware of, versus this is what I feel and know to be true based on my actual experience of life and of my own existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this falls into that category.
Mm-hmm.
And I have long since been in the scientific and the spiritual realms where both are consistently talking about what is consciousness, what is life, what is truly alive. Are animals conscious? Are they not? One of the things I was going to write a thesis on was the consciousness of animals and how that gets determined before we all in a scientific community came together and said, yes, animals are conscious. But one of the things we cannot, at least I personally cannot deny, is if I'm sitting on a chair, I do not feel a life force energy moving through the chair.
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel consciousness moving through this table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the table is in any way communing with me, connecting with me, or I'm connecting with it. I don't feel that flow that you feel with a conscious, sentient being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we may not all speak to birds. We may not all speak to trees or plants, or even the earth or the stars. But there's a feeling, there's a life force flow that comes through these different conscious beings. There's a presence. And if we really feel down into it, you can even feel the energy emitting from the cells in your body. Like, your bodies talk to you. My body speaks to me in very specific ways, so that I know how to nurture it in return. And so there are different things that we can feel into. And that doesn't come from thinking. Like, I don't think what is consciousness, because then I'm attempting to put something into a box again that really I don't think we have a box for. And that's why I use Schrodinger's box, right? Because everything and nothing exists simultaneously in that box. And I feel like that is very much where we are, where we don't know enough. The universe is huge, it's vast, it's infinite. And we're like this. We're like this. So I don't think it's possible that in a containment that has everything and nothing existing simultaneously, that I could possibly say that I can logically, consciousness is X, Y, Z under these conditions with these parameters, and it only exists then in a mathematical scientific equation. But I can say, when I feel the exchange of life force energy ebbing and flowing between myself and another conscious being, I know that there's consciousness present. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have to go on. And I don't need to have a scientific equation for that.